You may not see a whole bunch of it, in the preseason finale up here against the Giants. But in their opener, in the first couple of weeks, you better see something off the charts quick. Because if you don't see something off the charts quick, then I believe you're also going to have an issue as far as how long that opportunity is going to last.
Well, I think to your point, I think that, fans, whether you love the Patriots or you loathe the Patriots, and they're certainly both in our listening audience.
Not much gray area.
No, you either love them or you loathe them. There's no doubt about that. I don't think you judge a Hainsworth or an Ocho Cinco based upon what they do in August. I mean, you played for the great Bill Walsh, and that's the way he approached it in terms of, just tell me about the game. Let's get everybody ready for the game in terms of dealing with injuries and practice and monitoring it. I think that Bill Belichick, the same approach, and especially with, such a short off-season, no off-season, such a short period of getting the players ready, no mini camps, no, obviously extended off-season program. I think that'll be the approach dealing with these veterans here in the month of August.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, Adam. I think it's not any longer in the NFL about where can you plug this player in for 65 plays on a Sunday afternoon. It's what is the 20 to 25 play package that we can best optimize this person's abilities in the style of defense or offense that we play in. Does that mean there aren't guys that are out there every play? No. Excuse me. Of course not. That doesn't mean that. But the majority, the preponderance of jobs in this league now are role jobs.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. And it's, in terms of battles for this team, I think the most interesting one to watch, I mean, we could talk about, the final slots at wide receiver, but I'm most fascinated to see, especially when you look at Falk and Sammy Morris, the battle at the running back position for the New England Patriots.
Yeah, the whole defensive side of the ball has gotten a huge amount of attention. I believe, pick a position group on offense. Is it the receiver group? Is it the running back group? Is it the backup quarterback position? Is it the offensive line? Offense has got a lot of pressure and a huge amount of competition. But competition, obviously, like we brought up when we talked about a little while ago at that running back spot, it just boils down to that simple little math thing. 6 bodies, 4 jobs.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how they view Woodhead and how he can factor into this mix because in terms of roster spot, they can kind of fudge it and get a little bit creative because Danny does so many different things, Randy, for this team.
Yeah, and it's not just limited to that quote-unquote nickel role, which also leaves a job out there for a guy like Falk because on third down, he's phenomenal out of the backfield catching the ball. He recognizes and executes well when it comes to blitz pickup. I mean, the guy is a real pro who is still teaching guys like Ben Jarvis and Danny Woodhead about how they do their jobs.
So Bill Belichick is going to join us coming up on our set here at Patriots training camp in a matter of minutes. Looking forward to that. New England has a 1:30 practice today. Randy and I will go upstairs and watch that and tell you what we see. Watching the New England Patriots practice later on today. Looking forward to that. Obviously a team, Randy, that goes 14-2 in the regular season, won a year ago, but disappointed they are in New England and how it finished with that loss against the Jets in the postseason.
You getting an impression from some of the guys we talked about how long they dwelled on that idea?
I don't think they dwelled on it at all.
Yeah, it really doesn't do you any good. It's great in our business. It's great.
It's what we do.
Yeah, it's wonderful in the evaluation process. But it's such a minute-to-minute type of a game and type of profession. You've got to live like that. What happened then? Is it a motivation in the off season when you're lifting weights or you're running or you're thinking? Well, you wouldn't be human if it wasn't. But it's not something you're going to dwell on and make a center of your life, I don't think.
Belichick is going to join us in 1 minute. Nick Casto's telling us right now. So be curious to talk to Bill about Chad, talk to him about Albert Hainsworth, talk to him about the defense improving, talk to him about the pressure that the offense, Randy, can put on the opposition's defense, because you take a look at this Patriot team, and I believe the defense is going to be much better. We could start nitpicking this team. We did the Jets on Friday. We could talk about Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Houston, Indy, San Diego, Kansas City, and those are not arbitrary teams. I'm giving you my opinion.
Yeah.
The 8 best teams clearly in the AFC. I think the Patriots have the best offense of the bunch when you look at the top 8. And the defense, if it improves, coming off a 14-2 season, got to call the Patriots the Super Bowl favorites.
Yeah, unfortunately, like the regular season has proven to be for so many teams, it's kind of just a nice start in a building block. You give a coach a choice. Excuse me, you want to be 14-2 or 16-0? Yeah, of course I would. But you get into the playoffs, it's literally sudden death, and then it becomes a chemistry experiment as to what those decisions you made in August and September, and as the season went on, building your roster. That's when they really pay off. Look at the job that last year Mike McCarthy and Ted Thompson did with that team and the kind of people they plugged in. Without Barnett, without Papinga, without, go down the list, Grant, yada, yada, guy by guy by guy, and they didn't miss a beat. They had that next guy up. And if you could bottle that chemistry, if you could put that and sell that right next to Gatorade and Red Bull, you'd put the other ones out of business.
Absolutely. So Coach Belichick making his way over. He's going to join us in a minute. Looking forward to having Coach on the show, because you look at this Patriot team, obviously the optimistic feelings are through the roof as you look at this team. It's locked and loaded for another run for the Super Bowl, Randy. And it's interesting when you look at the stars and the impact players, and we were talking to Patrick about it and Devin about it before. That Mayo is just an unbelievable player when you take a look at the Patriots and what they do on defense.
Yeah, he's when you draft a player and you have hopes for him as an organization, he's been on the curve that you ideally want your players to take.
And Randy, here he is right now, the man of the hour, the head coach of the New England Patriots. He's Bill Belichick, and he joins us live at our set here at New England Patriots training camp. Coach, good to see you. Adam Schein, Randy Cross, how are you?
Good, Adam. Good, Randy. How you guys doing?
Doing well. It's been a interesting July and August for you, hasn't it? Not exactly boring, the way the pace of everything started with free agency and then camp.
Right. It came together very quickly with the college free agent signings and then some new contract rules and structures and salary cap and all that, and then free agency and a couple trades. And so we've, trying to probably taken the last couple of weeks really just trying to assemble the team and practice them all at the same time. So it's been a little bit hectic, but we're working through it. No different than any other team.
Sleep deprivation is nothing new in this coaching business, right?
We're just trying to put it together here, but we're making progress. We've just got a long way to go.
And you guys made some signature moves, Coach, when you look at the offseason period that you guys had last week. Take me through the acquisition of Albert Haynesworth. When this guy was in Tennessee, he was one of the most dominant players in the NFL on defense. It did not work in Washington. I'm sure you looked under the hood. What did you see when you looked at Albert? How does he fit into your program?
Well, it all came together pretty quickly with when I had a couple conversations with Coach Shanahan. I think the bottom line is that we'll put him out there in our defense and see how it all turns out. He's obviously a talented player. Player that I think is motivated to play well. Hopefully he'll be able to do that.
How many other options, just looking at it realistically, were out there to put that kind of pressure potentially from the inside of a defense? Everyone talks about pass rush, and not every team is so lucky that they have the linebackers on the outside like the Steelers. If you can create that pressure from inside, he would be a wonderful tool, wouldn't he?
Well, absolutely. The more, the better we can be up front, then the better we'll be defensively all the way around. So, we've added some players to our front in the last couple of weeks, and we'll just see how it all comes together. I think we have a good group to work with, and I feel like hopefully the additions will just give us a little more depth there and maybe a little more playmaking ability.
And you referenced the additions. I thought you guys stole Sean Ellis. I think he's a great leader, still a good player. You guys saw that firsthand, obviously, in the playoff game with the Jets and the Patriots last year. Take us through the decision to bring in Sean, what he brings to your team, and also, Bill, where he is physically in terms of his health right now.
Well, of course, we've played against Sean for the last 11 years, so we know him probably as well as any player in the National Football League. Of course, he's had an outstanding career, and as you said, a good leader, smart player, guy who really has been very professional on and off the field, and we certainly like to add that to our team. Similar situation with Andre Carter from the Redskins and San Francisco over the weekend. So both of those kind of happened around the same time. But I think that Sean, I know, is working hard to be ready to go on the field. We'll see how quickly that happens. But I think he'll I know he'll do everything he can to get ready as quickly as possible. So we'll just take it day by day and see when that occurs.
And it makes the whole dynamic of cut downs when they happen and getting ready for what's coming down the line a little bit of a different proposition with that many defensive linemen. Like linebackers in the past have been pretty good emphasis here. And suddenly now, if you're looking at more defensive linemen, that's got to cut into somebody else's roster spot, right, as far as the dynamic goes?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. We're going to have to figure out a way to manage our roster probably a little bit differently on the defensive side of the ball than we have in the past. So that's always a challenge every year, and there's always a few decisions as to whether you want to carry an extra receiver or DB or, however it works out. But, in this case, I think that, as you said, the linebacker defensive line numbers will probably shift a little bit from what they've been in previous years.
Coach, from last year to this year, where would you like to see your defense improve and get better?
Well, I don't think last year really means too much. I think right now what we're looking at is just to try to improve and on a daily basis and go out there and play competitively on every down defensively. So where we were last year, there's so much time that's elapsed since then. I think we're starting from scratch and we're trying to put together the best personnel, the best scheme, and be able to play quickly, play aggressively, and play with good sound fundamentals and techniques. So that's our challenge on a daily basis. Where that goes, we'll just take it day by day and see what happens.
Hey, Bill, another one of the big off-season acquisitions here, obviously getting Chad Ochocinco on the roster. His wide receiver skills aside, could you talk a little bit about just the passion for the game that he has and how that impressed you?
Well, absolutely. I think Chad's a very competitive player. He loves to practice. He practices hard. He works hard. I know football is real important to him. And so, we love having players like that on the field and on our roster. I think it just helps make everybody else better. And, Chad's a good player, and now he's in a new system from where he's been the last 10 years. So he's got a lot to learn, and we're also trying to, put him in positions where he can be productive and do the things that he does best. And so I think we're both working hard to do that. Hopefully that'll pay off.
Coach, I said to Randy before, I'm just fascinated by your relationship with Chad, and we've known for years. I mean, Chad is a worker. He loves football, and from that perspective, I think he fits in perfectly with the Patriot way, with how you like to go about practice and what you want from your athletes. Obviously, he loves the reality shows. He loves riding a bull. He loves Twitter. You had the good My Face line the other day at a press conference. Do you need to even talk to Chad about that, or do you know when he comes here that he's going to be a New England Patriot?
Well, we talk to all our players in the same way, so we tell everybody the same thing. There's nothing different for one player than there is anybody else. So we just try to approach our job on a short-term basis, try to get better day to day, try to work on our weaknesses and make sure that everybody's doing their job properly so that the other guys on the field can do theirs. Coaches coach, players play. We all have to perform, to a high level to be successful, and we try to minimize our distractions so that we can focus on our job. So that's no different for any player or coach from one to another.
Bill, the whole dynamic of this offseason with the lockout and everything getting settled the time it did, how has it impacted installation? How has it impacted the actual learning process? We know, and we'll be up there watching some of practice a little bit later. I mean, football's football, but the garden hose versus the fire hose approach at times. Aren't you tempted to go to fire hose, but you got to keep it on the garden hose?
I haven't quite heard it put that way. I think I know what you're saying. Well, we didn't have the spring work that we normally have, so we're starting at the beginning, and we still have to build our foundation and get a good solid foundation on our fundamentals and our techniques and our core plays, and then build off of them. So that's what we're going through. You have to do that every year anyway. Had we had more lead time, we'd probably been further ahead than what we are, but we didn't, and neither did any other team. So we're just progressing on a daily basis, and where that takes us,